and go to sleep. So I decided to make a story that goes to absolutely nowhere. So this story is about a frog. Let's call. Well, it starts out as a tadpole. This tadpole, his name is Tad, and he swims in the water like a normal tadpole does. Until one day, he swims into this cove, and the full moon is out, and a witch puts a spell on the Tad. Well, Tadpole turns into Tomble. We'll get to why he's called Tomble in a second. Well, Tomble turns into, is now a bear. And this is pretty crazy stuff. Now, let's get to why he's called Tomble. Tomble likes to climb all the hills. And when he reaches the top of the hill, he somehow slips on a brick and tumbles his way down the hill. He's never hurt, but it's always a mysterious thing how he just tumbles down hills. It doesn't make any sense. The tumbling, anyway. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense that a tadpole turned into a bear. But it's just so crazy how he always slips on a brick. It doesn't make sense. Like, how do you even slip on bricks? It's pretty rough. But anyway, once Tom slips on the brick and he rolls all the way down, he ends up right back by the cove. And his mom and all his family sees him. And they're like, Todd, or whatever his name was, how'd you turn into a bear? And he's like, beats me. I don't know, but I'm a bear now. And so Tom decides, or Tomble decides, to start tumbling everywhere. His main source of travel is to climb the hill, face a direction, and tumble, and he rolls that way. Well, he one day tumbled so hard that he ended up like, oh, shakes. He ended up flying in the air, in midair. Lo and behold, it was a full moon again. Tumble turned into a bird. Now, it was a pretty ugly looking bird, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it was fugly. And this bird, the worst flying bird you ever did see. I mean, it's like one of its wings is flapping way faster than the other, and it just ain't getting anywhere. It can't do anything but just stay afloat. And well, wouldn't you know it, a wind came through, and it threw him all the way back to that same cove. He ends up there, and all the tadpoles and frogs get scared, and they're like, "No, no, don't eat us, please." And he goes, "Guys, it's me. It's Tombo. Except I go by Flyo." Man, I know these are great names. And they're like, Flyo, Tombo, what? How'd you turn into a bird? He's like, guys, I don't know. I'm telling you, it's crazy. I started tumbling, just traveling. Next thing you know, I'm flying. And then the next thing you know, the full moon's out again. And I turn into a bird. And a pretty fugly one at that. And they're like, well, if you don't know what happened, then I guess you can't control it. So fly your little heart away. And that's what Flyo did. I don't even know if you can call it flying, but he lifted off the ground and he went places. And well, as he was in the air, he he discovered that he could just cruise if he spread out his wings. Now, one wing was a little shorter than the other, so he just like kept drifting to the right, but that's okay. That's neither here nor there. Well, he reaches the great state of New York. Now, keep in mind, Flyo has never seen buildings. Keep in mind, Flyo has never seen buildings before. And when Flyo sees his first building and sees how shiny it is, dude, Flyo cannot flap fast enough. He is just zoom in for this building. And lo and behold, you guessed it, smack. Flyo hit the building. Don't worry, Flyo's okay. Don't worry. Well, Flyo gets to see inside this building. He's like, what are these upright looking things? I have never seen them before in my life. Well, about that time, Flyo unstickos from the building, and so Flyo can resume his flying. And he is amazed by what he sees. There are moving boxes, flying things that don't have to flap. He is so confused, and he cannot get enough of it. So he flies into a place with books. Let's not call it a library, because it's definitely not a library. I just can't think of a cool name, so it's definitely not a library. Anyway, he reads all about these weird creatures, and he's like, man, if only I could turn into one of those. And so he constructs a plan. He said, you know what? Every full moon, when I have been out of the water, I turned into an animal that was closest nearby. When I was in the air, I turned into the animal that I was nearest by. So maybe if I just stick around the city, I might turn into one of these weird animals. Well, the next full moon comes by and he's sitting there. And guess what Flyo turned into? If you said a human, you're wrong. Flyo turned into Bildo. He is now a building. And building couldn't move except for human intervention. But it was pretty good though, because Flyo, for that month, got to learn all about the people inside it. And he learned way more from the book place than he ever could have. Well, he learned way more here than he ever could have from the book place. So, at the full moon, Bildo turned into, if you said human, you're wrong again. He turned into Caro. And guess what? Now Caro, he learned how to navigate what the humans had built. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I've learned even more. Well, this is the crazy part. Caro's driver had a little too much fun that night, and Caro ended up in the river. Don't worry, everybody was okay. But Caro floated all the way back to that cove where his family was. Now, his family was freaked out. They had never seen a car before. And by this time, his parents were grandparents, and his brothers and sisters were froggies. And the froggies had little baby froggies called tadpoles. Well, they had seen it all by this point. They weren't even freaked out that much. I mean, a little freaked out. Could you imagine a car? Your son turning into a car? I mean, it would just be weird. But anyway, they looked up at Caro and they said, son, when are you going to come back home? He said, never. I'm going back. So Caro somehow drove back up there. Why couldn't Caro stop the driver from driving off the road? I don't know. That's not important. But anyway, Caro drove all the way back up there. And lo and behold, on this full moon, he turned into a human. But not the type you might imagine. See, before, he had the ability to move and control himself. No, not this time, not this time. Caro turned into Baby-O. Now, the funny thing about Baby-O is that Baby-O lost all his knowledge. So now Baby-O is just a baby. It's not even Baby-O, it's just baby. And that's the story of Tad the Tadpole becoming a human. I hope you enjoyed. Good night. Oh yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments below. And just leave a like if you enjoyed it. If anything, just let me know how I can improve. Thanks so much for your time. Have a good night.